Hey there, fifth grade. Good morning. Here is the read aloud for Wednesday, April 8th. Today, we're going to continue with figurative language. We're going to continue with Serafina's promise. But today, we're thinking about these things called metaphors and similes. Metaphors and similes are just phrases that compare two things. I'll put this up in a second. Phrases that compare two things. So, a common metaphor would be like, Mr. Luke is a tree. Or a common simile would be like, Mr. Luke is like a tree. Basically, it compares two things. So if you say, Mr. Luke is a tree, obviously you're comparing how, like, I'm big and lanky to how a tree is big and lanky and has long arms, right? A tree has long branches, I have long arms, right? A metaphor is just Mr. Luke is a tree. One thing is the other. A simile uses the word like or as. Mr. Luke is like a tree, or Mr. Luke is as big as a tree. But the point is, these are funny phrases. We see them all the time. Sometimes people will say, the room is as cold as a refrigerator, or it was as dark as the night sky. Could say a bunch of different things, but usually it's comparing two things. So today we're going to read, we're going to look for some metaphors and similes, and here's how you're going to figure them out. You're going to ask, number one, what two things are being compared? So in the ones I gave, like, it's comparing Mr. Luke to a tree, right? Mr. Luke and tree. What do you know about each? Well, they're both tall and skinny or whatever, lanky. And so what is the author saying? So the author in that case would be saying that Mr. Luke is really big and tall and skinny like a tree. Okay? We're going to do the same thing with Serafina's promise, seeing some metaphors and similes. Here we go. Today we're picking up at page 60. Here we go. Even in the early morning, Port-au-Prince is crowded with people. This is when Serafina and her grandfather are, her father, are going into the city for the parade. Stay close, Papa says, squeezing my hand. Papa, I'm not a baby, I remind him. All around us, the city teems with sights, smells, and sounds. Baskets are piled high with brightly colored fruit, green and yellow bananas, grapefruit and mangoes, lemons and limes. In an open pot, hot oil sizzles. Fried plantains and sweet potatoes crackle and sputter. Chicken wings hiss and frizzle in a wide silver frying pans. Tap-taps rumble and honk, old cars rattle and cough. Welcome to the city, Serafina, they seem to say. I love it here, I shout back. 61. We pass the clean white palace where the president lives. A long iron fence surrounds thick green grass and winding stone paths. I wonder how lush grass and smooth stones feel under bare feet. How pleasant it would be if the path to the ravine were as soft and lovely as the path around the president's place. I curl my toes and try to ignore the scratching bark and prickly straw. Outside the fence, people sing and wave small blue and red flags. Inside the fence, above rows of windows and mighty chalk columns, a large flag floats proudly. Blue for hope, red for blood. Turn the page. Not just slave blood, my blood, the blood of my grandpa. Watch over me, Grandpa, I pray. Please bring back my courage so I can talk to Papa. Help him understand the way you would. 63. The parade isn't until late afternoon, but already drums beat, maracas rattle and swish, men in straw hats and brightly colored shirts blow and tap their painted bamboo trumpets. I squeeze Papa's hand. I like to be alone with him, but still I wish Mon and Gogo didn't have clothes to wash. I wish they didn't have mint and time to bundle. I close my eyes and gather the music and colors in my arms, a holiday bouquet to bring back to Mon and Gogo. Sometimes happiness eases hunger better than rice and beans. When I open my eyes again, a woman holds out a stalk of sugarcane and Papa shakes his head and frowns. I know we have no money for treats, but I don't care. We're in the city. Papa twirls me past the big white church where we pray on Sunday, past small shops with green awnings and pink apartments with clothes hanging from the railings. When we pass the blue cafe, with the rainbow umbrellas, I know we are almost at Papa's supermarket. We're on page 65. Here we go. Papa's supermarket is the biggest, busiest market in Port-au-Prince. Remember, Serafina, he says as we step inside, you must be quiet and let me work. I know, Papa, I say I know. I sit on a wooden crate and watch Papa pour sacks and sacks of Miami rice into brown barrels. Gogo says that Haiti rice tastes better than Miami rice. Gogo says that Haiti rice is healthier than Miami rice. Papa says that nobody buys Haiti rice anymore. Why should they? Miami rice costs less money. Cheap is not better, Gogo always says, shrugging her shoulders, but an empty sack cannot stand. In the barrels, the rice sparkles like tiny white stars. So there at the bottom of page 65 is an example of a simile. It says, in the barrels, the rice sparkles like tiny white stars. So I need to think about what this is saying here. The rice sparkles like tiny white stars. Well, I'm going to my chart. What two things are being compared? The rice and stars. Okay, it's comparing the rice in a big sack to stars in the sky. What do you know about each? Well, I don't think there's much similar between rice and stars, but I guess as I start to think about like a bunch of stars in the sky, I could think about a bunch of stars and a bunch of grains of rice in a bag. So there are like lots of them. Like I know a star is really big, but we're far away, so they look small. So stars look small from far away. Rice looks really small. There's a lot of them. And it says, let me get the exact words. It says, the rice sparkles like tiny white stars. So there could be like a lot of them. So what is the author saying? I guess the author's saying is that there's so much rice and it's so like shiny, and it almost, when the light hits the bag of rice, it almost like twinkles, like you would see stars twinkling in the night. And so now I have this visual picture. Instead of just a bag of rice, it's like this bag of rice that is like sparkling and twinkling into her eyes the way a star might. So that was me finding a simile. Today as you read, you're going to find metaphors and similes. And like you've been doing on Monday and Tuesday, after you've done your reading, you're going to go into Google Classroom and go to that assignment for Wednesday. And I'm going to ask you what some of these metaphors and similes mean in your own words. So you're going to think what two things are being compared, what do you know about each, and what is the author trying to say. So you're going to try and put it in your own words. In this case, the author was trying to say that the rice was shining and twinkling the way that a star does. Today you're reading pages 60 to 90. Knock it out. I can't wait to see the work that you do, and reach out if you have questions. Thanks, kids. Have a good one. Bye.